Hi, congratulations on such an incredible season. I was wondering, you've got two huge scenes. One is verbal, the speech, and one is internal, the dance.
Mm.
Which one was more difficult for you and why?
That's it's difficult to answer that because, of course, they're two vital parts of that woman. I feel for me, they're both deeply revelatory. And the physical scene that you're talking about, the dance at the end of episode 3, was so freeing because it reveals Mon Mothma in a way that we've never seen her before. The idea that I could use my body to show an agony within a woman who was kind of dying inside, and you could use an antithetical physical movement to be able to see that. Also, to be able to see Mon Mothma move and be physically different than we had ever seen her before. So it was such a gift to me as an actor. But the speech is really the fulcrum of who Mon Mothma is. It's the center of why she's vital to that universe. And for me, that's what I was driving towards that whole season. Everything infuses that moment with her. So you understand, I think, because you have that dance and that physicality early on, you perhaps see the speech differently.
I think you've been doing this character for 20 years. My math may be off, but when
Mm.
you have a beginning and an end, like you do, how does it inform the center? Does it free you, or is it
Mm.
more constricting because you have to maybe play everything all at once?
I think that's such an interesting question. Because of course we were working backwards. I mean, there is something that I did 20 years ago, obviously, that, and as an actor, you take things with you. You take, there is a lived experience of playing a character. And so it always lives inside the cells of your body. And that was just a tiny moment in my life, but I still carried that with me. And then 20 years later, to have an opportunity to play this woman at my age now, in my 40s now, with a fleshed out character with so much depth and complexity and contradiction and beauty and fear. That little me who got to play her 20 years ago was valuable. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense and kind of leads into my next question. Sorry, they just put all the lights out. When you've played a character with this intensity for this long, what about her have you taken with you?
I love her access to diplomacy. I
Mm.
love her access to know when to speak, to know, to hold, to be able to have the discipline to hold, to believe in something so strong that you can actually hold it tight and know that there will be a moment where what you feel is most valuable. I think I've never thought about this before. I'm so glad you asked me, but sometimes it's when we speak that can be the most valuable.
Yes,
Choosing
indeed.
when, yeah.
So I think this is my last question. So I wanted to ask you about working with two incredible actors, because the scenes with the three of you individually are so palpable. Stellan Skarsgard and Diego Luna, each of them brings incredible characters to life. And you, of course, are in the orchestra holding it at a crescendo. Talk about it and what was fun, what was difficult, what it meant to you.
It took so long for Diego and I to get together that by the time we finally got together in episode 9 of season 2 to actually work together as characters, we were desperate. The pair of us were like, oh my God, here we are, it's today. So that felt very very special to get us together. And it was such a beautiful collision within the writing, these two versions of rebellion, that you could have these kind of two people in the polar opposites within this world of revolution, and how they collide. The idea that she couldn't even recognize, she didn't even know who he was when she bumped into him, and therefore how do you cross that threshold of trust, who to trust? And so and then with Diego going into, just after they meet, going into physical scenes, and the two of us talking with our director Yanis Metz at that time about how they must have vitally different responses and abilities in that moment. You know, that she was so powerful a moment ago, using her voice in this cauldron of a Senate, which is her platform, and then in the very next moment being quite useless. But Cassian, being the soldier that he is, that's where he is valuable to rebellion. That within the writing of that, allowing those two characters to collide and to be vitally useful and useless in the same moment was extraordinary to play. And Diego's a beautiful human being and a very generous actor and a very gentle leader. And then Stellan Skarsgard, it's difficult to put into words what it meant for me to work with Stellan. He's just been someone whose work I have admired all of my working life. He is a beautiful tower of a human being and a generous actor. We would play, it was like playing. It was like sword fighting together. Those scenes between the two of them are really, it's like an intellectual sword fight. They're so cerebral, and there's such a beautiful push-pull between them. I remember Stellan saying at one point, he said, it's like a marriage. You can see these two people who have such history together, who are so interconnected and yet can be volatile and yet brilliant together. Thank you for recognizing them. They're extraordinary actors, and it was a real privilege on my part to work with both of them.
Thank you so much for your time. The intensity and inspiration you brought for women generally in the show was spectacular. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right.
Have a lovely day. And I hope they turn the lights back on.